We've come to the last episode this week, and we are going to look at the fifth element in our pile of excuses. We're busy on a journey to find out, for those of you who have just joined this journey, we're looking at what has happened to the Great Commission. We're on a 5-week journey, and this is the end of week number 4, the fourth week. And we're looking to see just what has happened to the Great Commission. Why suddenly has it become the Great Omission? Why is it that we have just totally ignored this great responsibility that Jesus has left us, this great mandate in Matthew 28, verse 19, where he says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations." And somehow we've tried to reinvent this passage of scripture, this mandate, this direct instruction from the Master himself, into all sorts of other excuses, all sorts of other directives, derivatives. Oh my goodness, I can talk for hours just about this, but we're trying to get to the bottom of what are our excuses. What is stopping us? Why can we not get along with this very important mandate? And so we have looked at the fact that going back to the cross is perhaps finding the answer to all of this. And so welcome to this journey again as we meander back to the cross, as we navigate our way back to the cross. And in week 1, we've looked at the cross as an ultimate place of exchange. In week 2, we've looked at the cross as a place of encounter. Last week, we looked at the cross as a place of absolute privilege and opportunity. And this week, we're looking at the cross as a place of blessing. And once we understand all of these aspects of the journey that we have in encountering what Jesus has done for us, it makes it very, very easy to commit to the Great Commission. Just as Paul, the great apostle, after his encounter, it was so easy for him to commit to the Great Commission. And so in looking at the blessing, we have said we're going to look at the life of all the patriarchs and how the blessing came from Abraham and onto Isaac. And of course, Isaac is now in Genesis chapter 27. He's on his deathbed, passing on the blessing to someone who don't deserve it. Just a little bit like you and I. When Jesus died, he said that he is passing on the blessing of heaven to you and I, even though we do not deserve it. And so Jacob, the supplanter, the deceiver, realizes at the end of the whole saga, eventually, we looked at the process the other day, right? He goes through a very, very painful process, but he gets up from all of that and he becomes Israel. He realizes that this blessing actually chose him. He did not choose the blessing, and that at the end of the day, he was the one that was responsible for being mandated to this blessing, and the one that has to work with the blessing. And so in verse 29, this blessing that Isaac pronounced over Jacob said, "Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be the one who blesses you." So tonight we want to ask ourselves, have we really received the blessing? Have we really come to grips to understanding the blessing? We've looked at 4 aspects of it already. Tonight we're going to be looking at the 5th aspect. And of course, this brings our weekly adventure to an end. And of course, Paul understood this blessing, because in Philippians 3 verse 8, he says, "I am so desperate to be a beneficiary of this blessing. I will count everything as rubbish just so that I can gain Christ." Oh my goodness. So rounding off or ending off this last week, we have been looking at the ancient blessing. We've been looking at the 5 keys to this, or the 5 aspects of it. And of course, tonight is the last aspect of it. We're looking at you and I being the one. So powerful. Just like Jacob, the one. So here is a scene from one of my favorite movies from 1999. Wow, what a blast from the past. Such a long time ago. But here is Neo in the movie The Matrix. And this is the moment where he realizes he is the one. So up to this point, he's been told by everyone, by Morpheus and by all these people, listen, dude, you are the one. And they've trained him, they've convinced him. But for those of you who have watched this movie, and I know most of us have seen this movie, this is the point where he is surrounded by so many enemies. They all empty their magazines all at once. And he stretches out his hands, and in an instant, all those rounds come up to him, stop in their tracks, and just fall at his feet. And it's at that moment that he believed and he realized, you know what, everyone has been talking about me being the one, and I've gone through the training, and I've just gone through all this motion, but right now, I've made up my mind. I am that one. And this is the prayer of my heart tonight, is that, you have read your Bible so many times. You've looked at the Great Commission so many times. This week we've looked at the blessing. We've seen that it's been promised to us. We've seen there's a process behind it. We've looked at so many aspects of the blessing. But now we have to ask ourselves the question, why does this blessing come to us? This blessing is for you and I for one reason, and that is that you and I have been chosen by God to be that one. That one in your town, that one in your family, perhaps that one in your country. So from wherever you're watching, from the United Kingdom, from Wales, from Ireland, from Scotland, from the United States, from Canada, from Africa, Nigeria, from Sudan, from Pakistan, from Iran, Iraq, from Russia, from, wow, I can go on and on and on. God has chosen you to take responsibility over the Great Commission and be the one, just like Jesus said, I am the one. In John chapter 1, when he said, I am he that have come. Not that you must serve me, but I've come to serve you. And so just like Jesus was divinely cared for, divinely provided for, because he was the one. And of course, we need resource. We need not just material resource, financial resource. We need emotional resource, physical resource. We need health, wealth. We need all sorts of infrastructure. And that is what this blessing is about. It does not come so that you and I can sit back and bankroll it and be happy-clappy and say, isn't God so good, and sing our Sunday songs. That's not what the blessing is for. The blessing is so that you and I can be effective workers in the kingdom of heaven. After all, that is what the CEO of any company would do, right? Is he would put all his resource behind his workers and those that put the efforts and the interest of that organization out there and have it at their best heart and propagate the interest of that organization. Oh boy, it's getting a little hot in the kitchen here tonight. But really, what is the blessing there for? Just so that you and I can say we have been blessed? Or is it because it is a resource that have to be put to good use? Let's have a look and see what does Galatians 3:29 say. And if you are Christ, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Now, we are so singular or so one-track minded when we read this and we just look at the cutting, just as wealthy as Abraham is, I am a part of that wealth. And yes, of course, you are not just part of the wealth, you're part of the health, you're part of the favor, you're part of everything heaven needs to put at your disposal so that you can be the one, that needs to bring salvation to earth. And that is what we need to focus on tonight. I am that one. Will I take responsibility for the Great Commission? Will I take responsibility over the souls that God is going to entrust to me? Oh boy, it's going to get very hot in this kitchen over the next 2 minutes. When Cain killed Abel, and God said to him, "Where's your brother?" And he said, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And God said, "The blood of your brother is now going to be on your hands." Ooh, those are things we don't like to hear. But if you and I don't take responsibility, the blood of those that God entrusted in for you and I to reach, their blood will be on our hands. Hear me now, this is very serious. You and I need to stand up and say, I will be the one. I will be counted. I will take responsibility. Heaven is ready. Heaven will make at its disposal all the resource you need. In fact, very often we find that these resources become retracted or not available to you and I because we're not doing the right thing. We're trying to use these resources or all of these resources for the wrong reason, just so that we can feel blessed or say, hey, look at how God has blessed me. There's nothing wrong with that, but are we using these resources for the right reason? Am I going to commit to the Great Commission and be that one? Just like Neo decided, enough of all this small talk, the cheap talk. I'm going to put myself out there and just get the job done. All that is required of you and I is our willingness and our obedience and our commitment to the Great Commission. So we'd love to hear from you. There's our email address. It's been on there for the past 20 days. 20 episodes, right? We've done this for 20 times so far. Today is episode 20. And please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And Lord bless you. It's been such a great journey. And we end off this week on a high note, knowing that I am the one and that heaven will put all its resources behind me. And that's what's comforting, is that when I put my foot forward, no matter what's going to come against me, heaven will back me up. And heaven will put everything I need behind me. Just like it did when Jesus walked the face of the earth. How exciting, how exhilarating. Wow, it's been so good to be with you tonight. And I'm looking forward to next week. So before I go, if you are not yet in our community, I want to greatly encourage you, please join the community, because next week we're going to make some important announcements, and the announcement will be made in the community. If you're not in the community, you will unfortunately not see the announcement. You will miss the announcement. And we want as many of you that are hearing these messages, following the story, to be there with us when we make these announcements. So please, if you're not yet in the community, please join us in the community. Scroll down on this page to find the links to the community, or just look in the bio under links. You'll find the community link there. And see you in the community, and I look forward to next week. Next week is going to be really, really, really exciting. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your evening and see you soon. Bye now.